Our group is during the women photographers, Imogen Cunningham, Doris Ullmann, and Bernice Abbott. Imogene Cunningham was born in 1883. She began photography in 1901, and her first love was people. Her photographs reflected different periods of her life. Her earlier ones were soft focus and dreamy. She also had her friends act for the camera because it was in style to do so. It was inspired by pre-Raphaelite painters and poets. Imogene photographed her husband nude on Mount Rainier in 1915. It was the first male nude photograph taken by a female photographer. When her children were small, she photographed flowers in her garden. Many of her photographs are in one way or another double images. 2 figures, 2 plant forms, double exposures, sandwich negatives. This was related to her having twin boys. Her first one-woman show was in 1912 at the Brooklyn Museum of Arts and Sciences. She was a noted salon exhibitor. After World War I, salons bolstered the cause of artistic photography. In 1929, Edward Weston formed a group of purist photographers called F64. She was an original member along with Ansel Adams and Henry Swift. Their desire was to reject the influence of other mediums in favor of a simple and direct presentation of purely photographic means. Only filters and burning and dodging were allowed. They all resolved to exhibit their work jointly at the De Young Museum in San Francisco. Imogene was one of the most experimental of the group. Her bold close-ups of flowers began in 1923, and she played with it as a member of F64. Amaryllis in 1939 is characteristic of her style at that time. Her photos during this time were unsentimental. She brought abstraction and description together while producing tension. She had strong black versus white tension and spatial tension. When F64 first exhibited, Cunningham was experimenting with multiple exposures and doing celebrity portraits for Vanity Fair. Her best ones were of artists of all types, like writers and painters. Her portraits had a lot of romanticism, which clashed with her purist philosophy. Her work was displayed in Aperture in the 1950s. They featured artists who were serious and who did non-commercial work. Imogene Cunningham is remembered as a pioneer in experimental photography. Do you want to send a
Doris Ullmann was born in 1882. At the time, the Kodak camera was being introduced. She first used a camera in 1902 and 1903. She studied law and psychology. For her, taking photos was a form of relaxation. She studied seriously with Clarence H. White in 1914 at the Columbia Teachers College. In the teens, she was involved with White's organization, the Pictorial Photographers of America. She used a form of photography called chiaroscuro, which is a technique of 3D using 3D light and shadow. She married Hager in the 20s and was divorced by 1925. He was a surgeon, so she photographed all of his associated, then published her first book called The Faculty of the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Columbia University in 1919. She was from an upper-class New York family, and she enjoyed the ballet, theater, and music. She photographed these activities, including the ballerina Anna Pavola. In 1925, she met John Jacob Niles, who was an actor, musician, and her assistant. A neat accident had made it difficult for her to walk. She was concerned with conserving the culture of the Highlands. Allman made many trips to New Orleans between 1929 and 1931. She was intrigued by the Creole and Cajun residents. She worked with flowers, which had been started by Imogene Cunningham. She was concerned with light and shadow. Her later photographs were very structured. She used a soft focus and platinum printing. Her portraits always had something in their hands. Throughout her career, she stuck to the pictorialist tradition of soft and selectively focused, with soft and gray prints. Her soft focus made her different from the Farm Security Administration photographers. She saw no conflict between her romanticism and technique, of the honesty of the image. She started out as a portrait photographer, but after her divorce, she became a documentary photographer. She would do that for the rest of her life. She traveled to record vanishing ways of life. She went to Appalachia primarily, as well as the Shaker and Mennonite communities in Virginia, New England, and New York. She photographed the Gullah in South Carolina and the French Creole and Cajun in Louisiana. She went to Appalachia where she met Julia Peterkin, who wrote Roll, Jordan, Roll in 1934. And on the Snag Lane plantation, she made the photos of the Gullah region that were used in the book. Her photos were simple and direct. In her early years, her style was early 20th century pictorialism, and in the 1930s, it was realism. She worked with a 61.5 by 81.5 inch view camera with soft focus without a shutter. She made each exposure by manually removing and replacing the lens cap.
I don't know if you want to...
Doris Allman is best known as a pioneer for preservationist photography.
1898 in Springfield, Ohio. She studied sculpture in New York, Paris, and Berlin. Between 1923 and 1925, she worked as an assistant in Man Ray's studio in Paris. Her surrealistic found object style was influenced by Man Ray. Between 1926 and 1929, she had her own portrait studio where she photographed creative personalities who were then making Paris their home. Her portraits are strong and uncompromising, and many are almost frightening. In 1929, she moved back to New York City from Paris, where she began to document the changes in the city, involving knocking down old buildings to build skyscrapers. Between 1934 and 1958, she taught photo at the New School for Social Research, while documenting for the Progress Administration Federal Art Project. In late 1950 to the 1960s, she photographed to illustrate laws of physics. She was the only woman who designed her own equipment for making specific types of photos. She published many manuals on the technical aspects of photography. She is known for preserving the work of French photographer Eugene Atget a year after his death. His photos profoundly affected her, and his photos documenting Paris led Bernice to do the same thing in New York City. In 1954, she went to New England on assignment, and she discovered Maine. Maine then became her permanent home. Bernice used government money to continue personal interest projects. She used grant money to do this. Bernice used an 8x10 camera, and she photographed highways and churches and buildings of New York. She described New York City as having a dual personality of a great city in which the past lives side by side with the incredible present. She is best known for Father Duffy, Times Square in 1937, and Newsstand, 32nd Street and 3rd Avenue in 1935. Both of these photographs use strong visual detail in almost ordinary scenes. Bernice Abbott is known as the pioneer, one of the pioneers in documentary photography. Here we are entering Old Dominion Camera to talk to some people about our photographers. Here we are leaving Old Dominion Camera because it's closed.
Photographers, Imogen Cunningham or Doris Ullmann.
No.
Or Bernice Abbott.
No.
Whoever.
Okay.
Am I going to want to answer this question?
They're very simple questions.
How you doing?
Have you ever heard of any of these photographers? Doris Allman.
Okay.
Not
No,
absolutely.
register on the face.
Bernice Abbott.
Who?
Bernice Abbott.
Nope.
Imogen Cunningham.
No.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Papali.
That's it, huh? No.
They're over
That's
this
one of
side.
them?
Hard to see.
Oh, definitely not. What's that?
That's a picture of John.
Okay. No. Don't think so.
Okay,
But
and
maybe.
if any of these seem really interesting to you or like catch your eye,
Oh yeah. Definitely.
definitely recognize.
Well, it caught my eye.
Wonder why.
Let's see. The other one with the bridge I like too.
You like this one? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, he'll probably recognize Imogene Cunningham.
That's the whole thing? Nah.
Oh, this is pretty hard to see. But
Yep, that's okay.
what do you think of that one?
Looks like it might be interesting. Let's see, where are we? Baptism, South Carolina? Oh, that's probably very interesting.
I can even see like
No, not so much. Looks like a factory.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
What's this for?
Well, thank you.
Photography?
Yeah.
Who's your Mr. Jones?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hi,
we're
Mr.
doing women
Jones.
photographers. Alright. Okay, here we have a photo one student who just wants to say hi. Hi, Mr. Jones. Alright. Bye.
Have you ever heard of any of these photographers? Imogene Cunningham? Doris Ullmann? No. Or Bernice Abbott? Okay. If you're running out of time, you can stop us. But what do you think of like these photographs?
As they are now?
Yeah. Or if any of them catch your eye or anything like that, I can just
No. The bridge, yes. No, that does not appeal to me.
That's how I feel too.
No. Although that's not bad, but it's...
That's kind of hard to see.
Yes, it is hard to see, but if I'm judging it just the way it is, it's too dark. That's not bad. That's a little dark, but that's not bad either.
Okay. Those are all the photographs we have.
So who am I picking? Well, it seems like it's Doris. Oh no, Bernice, okay. Oh no, this is the one I didn't like, so it was Doris.
Okay. Alright, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Have you ever heard of Imogen Cunningham?
No.
What about Bernice Abbott?
No.
What about Doris Ullmann?
No.
Okay, can we show you some of these pictures and see what you think of them?
Are these local photographers?
No. No.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're well known countrywide for
Yeah.
art, for their artistry.
Yeah.
They're pretty hard to see, but
Pardon?
they're pretty hard to see because they're kind of dark. But that's
Yeah.
just.
But tell us if any catch your eye.
Yeah, I mean I can just flip through.
Are these the way the photographers' original pictures wanted the pictures to appear to us?
Oh, these are copies of the way
These
they
are
wanted them.
because of the copies.
Yeah.
They're so
this is-
dark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not important. It's easier to see it though. So.
So just tell us if you like any of them.
All right. Now, what would you like me to do?
I mean,
Just
were there
tell us
any
if
that
any.
stuck out in your mind or?
These?
The bridge.
I like those.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you so
thanks.
much.
You're welcome.
We're wondering if you've ever heard of Imogene Cunningham.
Yes, I have. I know her work well.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Do you know her photograph Amaryllis?
I believe I do. Yeah, is that the shell, the white shell?
I
Is that
think
still
so.
life?
Yeah. Well, we have. Oh no. tours right here.
Yeah.
What do you think of her work as a whole?
I think it's very nice. And as a matter of fact, about 20 years ago when she was still alive and I had a chance to buy some of her stuff and didn't, I'm kicking myself ever since that I didn't at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Doris Allman? Or
Bernice Abbott.
Bernice, I know, and I don't know the other.
Yeah. Do you have any opinions about Bernice?
I don't know her work that well, frankly.
Yeah.
What are you taking? Are you taking a photography class somewhere?
Yeah, we're
At
in,
Yorktown.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
we're in the more advanced class. We have to research. Well, we're in charge of women
Yeah.
photographers.
Oh, those women photographers. Well, good luck with it. Is the photography class there? They have a good lab?
Yeah, it's a good
My daughter is an 8th grader at HP. She's planning to take some photography classes there. They have a nice lab there as well.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay, well, good luck with your project. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Well, in conclusion, as we're walking away from Safeway, we found that even though most